Wii Wonders!
Welcome, wonderful watchers, to Wii Wonders, a Wii game review series by me, Souldin of the Grin brothers. This episode will cover the Wii game Red Steel, a first-person shooter game developed by Ubisoft Paris and published by Ubisoft. Let's begin playing then. It's Waggle Time! Oh, and this game is rated PEGI 16, so age warning.
Story time!
Red Steel was a highly hyped launch title and major third-party release for the Wii, telling of an engaging gangster drama starring the determined and devoted Scott, who will stop at nothing to rescue his fiancée from the feared and ruthless... Wait, what do you mean that's not Scott? This guy's on the manual, the back of the box, and the loading screens. Surely he's our protagonist, right? That guy's the feared and ruthless Japanese mafia kingpin? So who's Scott then? Oh, he's a pair of flowing hands and arms with no face. No offence, Miyu, but you have an odd taste in lovers. Anyway, as mentioned, your fiancée, Miyu, has been kidnapped by a deadly Yakuza group, and her Yakuza father, overlord of a rival group, has been murdered. This seems like it would be a spoiler as the death of Isao Sato doesn't occur until several levels in, but to be fair, the box and manual both spoil his eventual demise.
Save me, save her. You are the only hope we have left.
He dies subtitle!
You have no choice, Scott. You have to go to Tokyo with the Katanegiri.
Armed with the Katanegiri, a sword this kidnapping gang really want, Scott heads to Tokyo to train in the way of the sword, earn the respect of various Yakuza members through the way of the gun, and save his fiancée. The overall story is mixed in terms of quality, having an okay and serviceable tale delivered through dated and B-movie cutscenes, and filled mostly with rather plain and forgettable characters. Scott being a protagonist with a lack of personality or impacting choices to help him feel like the player's avatar certainly doesn't help things. Of course, there is a certain charm conveyed by the B-movie cutscenes and the odd few characters prove appealing, such as the sword trainer, Mariko, and the gun trainer, Kojima. The story also does become a lot more compelling towards the end thanks to an unexpected turn of events, the introduction of the main villain, and a rather interesting theme that gets explored.
Instruction time!
Let it be noted that this was one of the first major third-party action games for a system heavily focused on motion controls, so it feels well warranted to praise Red Steel for its dedication to the Waggle experience. This game uses both the Wii Remote and Nunchuck, with both controllers' motion capabilities being used for numerous functions in swordplay, gunplay, and door opening play. The Wii Remote is used for the aiming and handling of the gun and the sword in their respective shooting and sword fighting sections of the levels. In shooting sections, you can point and shoot with the Wii Remote whilst using its upper buttons of D-pad and A to change weapons, reload, zoom in, and lock on. Such aiming is also used for menu navigation. In sword fighting sections, you instead swing the Wii Remote to slice at your opponent, which I find to be more accurate and responsive if you ensure that there is a good distance between you and the Wii center bar. As for the Nunchuck, it is more than a door opening tool. It's a grenade throwing, sword breaking device used to great effect in conjunction with the Wii Remote. The same Nunchuck swing that is used to open doors can also reload your weapon in shooting sections or parry enemy katana and bats in sword fighting sections, with said swift, simple swings quickly becoming instinctive. Used in unison with the Wii Remote, a press of the down D-pad will allow you to throw and roll grenades with other combinations of swings and buttons across both controllers, allowing you to execute special techniques. This control scheme is both fun and frustrating. Its heavy focused motion controls being charming when it works, but half of it doesn't work well all too often. The gunplay is mostly fine, with the Wii Remote aiming being evocative of arcade rail shooters, but there is the odd rough element to it, such as the overly sensitive zoom on the sniper rifle weapon, and the easy mix-up between reloading and the nunchuck-activated Tanto attack. The swordplay is the big issue, with quicker reflexes demanded of you than your required broad swings allow, many special techniques being a nightmare to execute, particularly in the heat of battle. The motion controls are also finicky in the game's multiplayer, but the element of chaos this adds to a deathmatch makes it quite entertaining actually.
No, when I'm up close.
This is... Oh my god, look at my wrist! Oh god! What's happened? Tuna Man!
Action time!
As you will have gathered from the controls section of the review, Red Steel is a level-based FPS game wherein each area you visit has designated shooting and sword-fighting sections scattered throughout. Time to attack aside, these two gameplay elements do not mix, though how many sword-fighting sequences and where they are placed in this primarily shooting-focused game does vary from level to level. The game's leaning towards its first-person shooter aspects is to its benefit, as it is the more polished aspect of it. Aiming and shooting with a variety of guns was satisfying, with my personal favourite weapon being the MP412, or MP412, and the shootouts were often well-designed rooms for action and strategy. They even quite often supplied a recommended gun to find and use for the wave of enemies you were about to walk into, as well as find some body armour, sometimes hidden.
I lost the armour very quick. They always become far more accurate when you put armour on. They're terrible aim.
Of course, the main action isn't perfect. It lacks a mini-map or radar system, levels are ludicrously lengthy, and awkward jumping moments are a thing in this first-person game for some reason. For the most part though, it is a solid experience bolstered by motion controls and cool features like Focus Time mode. This mechanic really helped liven things up and will help you through tough trials. Recurring accurate shots in a fast time rewards you by filling up your focus bar, and you can use that focus bar energy to freeze time, allowing you to select multiple targets and then shoot them down in a swift, consecutive and accurate barrage. Far cooler though than getting multiple headshots in a row is how you can use this focus time mode to shoot the very weapons out of your opponent's hands and force them to surrender. If you do this to the leader of the attacking gang, it'll force all his underlings to surrender and you'll be showered with respect. Respect in Red Steel is effectively experience points. You gain respect through certain actions to rank up your honour and gain new titles. With these new titles, you can be gifted new guns by your shooting gallery pal, Kojima, or taught new sword techniques by dojo student Mariko. Forcing enemies to surrender is one way to earn respect, but you're most likely to earn respect during sword fights, through utilising secret techniques, breaking weapons, and showing mercy. Speaking of sword fights, they are not very good. The controls are roughest here and the demand for distance is at its peak. The sword fighting is often unresponsive, brutal and rage-inducing, which is a real shame because there are a lot of excellent elements to it that do shine when the controls work properly. Sword fights in Red Steel encourage carefully considered chops at your opponent, knowing when best to parry a blow or to dodge out of the way of slow, strong slash. In many of the fights, you even have the option to defeat your opponent without cutting at their health bar, instead opting to break their blade through well-timed nunchuck swings after a successful parry, or through usage of the hammer attack. Respect is easily earned at the end of a victorious sword fight by sparing your defeated foe, and there is little reason not to, as your reward for not sparing them is... nothing! The graphics have not aged particularly well, generally being rather rough and fuzzy when it comes to characters, and even its initial loading screen suffers from visual hiccups. The visuals may be on the weaker side of things, but there is plenty of style to the game, with an interesting mix of American and Japanese effects through locations and enemies, with this being most prominent in earlier levels as Yakuza members attack you in Los Angeles. Harry's Bar retains this blended style as the action shifts to Tokyo, with copious amounts of neon being offset by beautiful dojo gardens. Red Steel also features a multiplayer, which is massive amounts of fun, though not quite due to competency. Sure, there is plenty of customization available, a good handful of stages and generic characters to choose from, and unique touches such as chosen power bonuses. But the task of using the motion controls in split screen is amusingly difficult. Levels varied from well-crafted and easy to navigate to a series of confusingly similar rooms, but the chaotic fun remained as stabs, stuns and grenades were tossed everywhere.
Head, chest, leg, all the same.
I like how it sounded like you immediately just started shooting. No, that's the wrong way. I just watched it from your side. Yakuza member staring in the corner, just yeets a grenade.
Ending time.
Waggle time is over, and the 2 questions left to answer are as follows. What are my overall thoughts on this game, and who do I recommend this game for? Red Steel is a decent FPS hindered by ambitious but finicky sword-fighting sections that only become more abundant in this exhaustingly lengthy levels as the game progresses. Its charm lays in stylish settings, magnificent mechanics, and a dedication to the utilisation of the console it is exclusive to. Its flaws are undeniable, but both fun and potential can be found amidst the more frustrating moments. As for who I would recommend this game for, the first potential audience suggest would have to be those who can appreciate the ambition in Red Steel's flawed sword combat. It may not have been executed as well as the developers would have surely liked, but it is rich in the idea department and paces its exchange of katanas quite uniquely compared to other games. Those who are more interested in guns and swords should have no problem finding enjoyment in the more shooting sections, despite a lack of a radar, and those who have found fond memories of light gun games are sure to have a sweet sense of nostalgia at the control method. Whether you'll choose to play the Wii Wonder that is Red Steel is up to you, but either way I hope you enjoyed this review and I thank you for watching.
Hey, man. When they told me I'd see some action in this place, I thought they just meant with the girls.
Yeah, you're a funny dude. Anything up here?
Thank you for watching. Cheerio.